Welcome in everyone to the Larsonland podcast. We come on here every single Wednesday and talk about all things involving young money Kyle Larson. I'm your host Sawyer Hill, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Dylan Bradshaw. Dylan, we had another great week of racing this weekend at COTA. Kyle finally cracked the top 30.
Yeah, finally got out of that DNF stage that he was getting into, but not a good race once again. Kind of struggling as of late, but we just gotta, put those in the rear view and look ahead. Richmond, he's pretty good there, so hopefully we get a decent race.
Yeah, it's just another bad one for Kyle. It seems like this streak of bad luck continues to go on. Hopefully, he can shake it off and get moving on here in the next couple of weeks. But like you said, it was just a rough race again for Kyle. It looked like he had a car that was competitive throughout different points of the race. I know he had to he at the beginning of the race it seemed like he couldn't really go anywhere, and then there was a point where he was moving up a little bit, and then after the pits, after a restart, got spun out by I think Corey LaJoy, and the day just went downhill from there.
Yeah, unfortunate spin there. He was making his way up, as we all know, with these road courses, track position is key, and when you get spun out, it definitely makes it difficult to work your way up. And if you do eventually work your way up, it usually takes till the end of the race. But he had that spin by LaJoy, and then obviously later on in the race, he kind of hit the wall there with, I believe it was Logano, kind of tore his car up a little bit. Thankfully, didn't get a DNF, and he was able to finish the race, but yeah, not much you can do there. Just bad track position and kind of hard to make your way up when getting spun out.
What was your opinion on the call to bring it in down pit road there at the end by Cliff Daniels?
Yeah, as you know, we were kind of talking when that happened. Wasn't a big fan of it. He was running that 10 spot. He wasn't gaining a lot of spots, but like I said, track position is key. And as we saw earlier, Austin Cindric, I think he gained 13 spots on the one pit. I forget when, I think it was at the end of stage two, might have been stage three. He didn't get any tires and he was running eight, and he kind of proved that you just didn't need tires in that race. So it's kind of surprising me they decided to pit late in the race there when they were running top 10 to get tires when tires really didn't matter at all. So he wasn't gaining spots, but he still could have ended up getting a top 10, top 15 finish, and just not really understand that strategy there, but what can you really do about it?
Yeah, I think it was just a tough decision for Cliff, and I think that in the position that they were running at the time, I don't think that it didn't look like they were going to be able to move up much from where were they, maybe 10th, 11th, 12th, somewhere in that range. But I know Cliff said on the radio the call was that if anybody in front of Kyle did pit, then they were going to stay out. And if nobody in front of them pitted, which was what happened, they were going to bring it down pit road. I think that the thought process there was probably that Cliff thought that if Kyle came, he would bring some more cars behind them down pit road and get a bigger bunch. But there was maybe 9 or 10 cars behind Kyle that ended up staying out as well, and that moved Kyle back to I think 24th, 25th on the restart. So it was a brutal brutal call there, but you win some, you lose some, and I don't think that we're really racing for 12th place finishes. So if Cliff wants to make a call and thinks it gives us a better chance to win the race, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're obviously struggling here, but yeah, like you said, I mean, you got to try to get an advantage there to win the race, because after all, I mean, if you don't, all that matters is the last lap when you cross the finish line. So, but I mean, what do you think? Do you think this will continue these struggles? Because we saw last year, he got his first win in Vegas, and there was a big stretch of races where he didn't he didn't win a race for a while. He won Vegas in on March 7th at Vegas, and then his next win came at the Coca-Cola 600, where he finished first. Obviously, he that was on May 30th. So I mean, that's a long stretch of time without a win. So I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue going forward as far as points go. He has a lot of time to recover, and I don't think it's a big deal. It's not a driver problem. He's just got some unfortunate finishes, wrecks, mechanical issues, obviously with COTA, spun out a few times, couldn't get the track position. But, what do you think going forward? Do you think this is going to continue or just a little unnecessary patch in the road?
Yeah, to be 100% honest with you, I think yesterday was one of the it was probably one of the most frustrated races I think I've seen from Kyle. He seemed very frustrated on the radio all day. You really don't see that out of him. He's usually a really calm guy, but I think as we move forward, and we're going to touch on this in a little bit, but I think with Kyle having this streak of bad luck, I think when he does this, it seems like over the course of the past couple of years, when he gets in um, something else, he gets in the late model, gets in the sprint car, and runs some other races during the week. It kind of works as a reset button for him. He can get in a different mindset and kind of just he'll go into the weekend with a clear mind and not really thinking about last week because he gets another race in there in between that just something else to think about. And I think that COTA these past 3 weeks in a row of bad finishes, Phoenix obviously not his fault with the broken valve spring, but it's like 3 weeks in a row. It's got to be very hard on him to have these finishes. But I think next week we'll talk about some of the stuff that he's going to be running upcoming on dirt. But I think next week will be a good rebound for him at Richmond.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's historically done pretty well at Richmond. I'm gonna pull the stats up here so everyone can listen. He's finished top 10 6 times at Richmond in 14 starts there, so he typically does pretty well. He has one win, which he got in 2017 with Chip Ganassi in the 42. He started on the pole last year and finished sixth. And I mean, I think this is definitely his reset race. We've had these Daytona and Atlanta, we've had these super speedway style races, which he doesn't typically do too well on. But Richmond, he's pretty strong at, and that should be the reset track to get him going. And then after that, we head to Martinsville, which unfortunately isn't too good there. Not one of his favorite tracks, but Richmond's definitely the race to look at before we head into like the Talladega and those races that pose this kind of situation where might not finish too well, but we'll see in Richmond, I guess.
So yeah, I mean Richmond's going to be a great opportunity for Kyle to bounce back. But just a final comment on Coda. I think one of the things I started to think about after the race, and even when I was watching the race, was how the lack of practice, I think, at this event really impacted the racing product that we saw on the track on Sunday. Because, on Saturday, most drivers really only got 6 or 7 laps on the track in full green flag practice, full speed. I mean, this is a track we're talking 20 turns, and it's hard to get this track down and memorize it. It's not just like going to like next week at Richmond, a track that everybody's used to and have been to before. Last year at COTA, it was a rain race, and everybody was out there, but everybody knows a rainy track like that is a completely different race than what we saw this weekend. So it was basically like going to a completely new track, and I think some of the things that we saw this week were just a product of a lack of practice from NASCAR, and I think NASCAR has to do something about that moving forward because I don't think we can keep having these road courses like this where guys literally get 10 minutes of practice. There's two yellow flags or reds or whatever you want to call it in the practice session, and it cuts the practice session short. It's one of the, it just, it's frustrating to watch from my perspective, but I'm sure as a driver, it's even more frustrating. We saw in turn one almost every single restart where they were getting four, like almost four wide going into the turn. I don't think I've ever seen that at any other road course in NASCAR where the guys are just stacking up and running into each other. It's it's a lot different, but I think NASCAR really needs to consider adding in some more practice time moving forward at events like this.
Yeah, for sure. I think in the future we're gonna see more drivers do what we saw Bowman do with the truck race and what Bubba Wallace did in the Xfinity. Kind of putting themselves in that truck and Xfinity race to get some more practice in, learn the track. We saw it obviously pay off for Bowman, which actually almost squeaked by with the win there, but he ran pretty well all day. But at the end of the day, no one could really stop Watermelon Man Chastain. He led 31 laps, and it was almost inevitable that he was going to get a win soon. I didn't think it would come on this road course, but yeah, that end of the race, some controversy there with Chastain and Allmendinger. Allmendinger was trying to get the weekend sweep. He ran great in Xfinity, won the race obviously, and ran up front most of the time on the Cup race. But congrats to Chastain on the win, and Trackhouse is definitely emerging slowly as a top contender in the Cup Series.
Yeah, I love to see Chastain win that race, and like you said, Trackhouse is definitely a threat to win the championship this season. So, kind of some other news for Kyle, like I talked about before. Some of his dirt schedule has been released. He on an Instagram live with NASCAR. He has hinted at some of the races he will be at over the next month. It looks like it's going to be a pretty busy month of April for Kyle. Starting this Friday, April 1st, Kyle will be running in the late model at the Bristol Motor Speedway, covered in dirt, obviously. And that'll be prior to this weekend's racing at Richmond. And then after after NASCAR hits Martinsville the following weekend, on that Sunday he will be at the Port Royal Speedway with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, and then on Tuesday 4/12 he will be at Eldora for the first race of the Castrol Flow Racing Night in America Series. Um, maybe we'll see Kyle run in that series and run for points again. I know last year he kind of ran for points, kind of didn't, but he ended up finishing second in the points. So I'm kind of hoping he runs that again. And then later that week on Thursday at the Volunteer Speedway, he's going to have his Kyle Larson Flow Racing Dirt Late Model Challenge. That is before the Bristol Dirt Race for the Cup Series and the Truck Series. Still not sure if Kyle's going to be running in the truck race. We haven't heard anything about that, but we've kind of been talking about it, Dylan. That Spire 7 truck that Bowman ran this past weekend at COTA. Maybe we could see Kyle in that truck.
Yeah, I mean, scheme looked good on the truck, Kyle's scheme, so maybe he could take it to victory lane. Like I said a few minutes ago, we could potentially see these drivers, drive trucks, drive the Xfinity cars to get some more practice before the Cup race, keep it sharp. But yeah, I would like to see Kyle get in the truck and see what he could do with it, see how his skill translated over to truck, and see if he could kind of dominate those guys and mess around with them a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to see, get him in a truck, uh, get him in some more races prior to the Cup race.
Yeah, so obviously last year the truck thing didn't work out too good, a DNF at the Bristol Dirt, but maybe this year he'll give it another shot. So then the last two races that were announced were April 27th. That's a Wednesday night at the Brownstown Speedway. That is the second race of the Castrol Flow Racing Night in America series, and then that the end of that week on Friday night and maybe Saturday night we will see Kyle at the Bristol Dirt for the World of Outlaws. He'll be in both the late model and the sprint car on Friday night and Saturday night. We're not 100% sure if he'll be there because he does have practice and qualifying at Dover on that Saturday in the morning. So, really just going to be a matter of whether he can get back and forth between the two tracks. So, just kind of looking ahead now to Richmond next week. A few comments by myself here. I think Richmond's primarily really just been a track where Toyotas have been really strong, but I think this year it might be a little bit of a different story because Toyota has been obviously, I think everybody has seen Toyota has been the weakest of the three manufacturers so far to this season, which has honestly been surprising to me. It's been a track that's been up and down for Kyle. I mean, last year he was 18th in the spring. Of course, Bowman won that race, and then he had a solid sixth place in the fall, which I think if he finished sixth this week, I would be very happy.
Yeah, we've seen the Chevys have been very strong lately. Obviously, the Fords have ran pretty good. with Penske and just Ford in general. But yeah, kind of surprising to see those Toyotas run further back. You know, you got the JGR guys. It's not normal for them to be running like that. Kyle Busch has been pretty decent, but he's had some issues. He finished somewhat well this weekend, but Chevy's kind of dominating this year, it seems, you know, with Trackhouse and even Petty's, like with Eric Jones, is making a pretty decent run, and obviously Hendrick. But Chevy seems to be the manufacturer to beat this year with this new next gen. So I guess we'll just see as it goes on if the Toyotas kind of make some progression and some tweaks to see if they'll be up front.
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough for the Toyotas, and obviously I've enjoyed watching a lot of the Chevys up front, but no, Richmond ahead this weekend, and it's been a track that Toyota, like I said, has been strong at. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're strong again this week, but it hasn't seemed like it's been going their way so far this season. So Dylan, do you have any other thoughts about Richmond this week? I really don't have much else to add.
Not too much to say. You know, I covered the stats earlier. I'll just go ahead and cover those again with Kyle's career stats in Richmond. He has 14 starts, 81 laps led. He has one win, like I said, in 2017 with Chip Ganassi in the 42. He has two top five finishes, six top 10 finishes, and his average finish is 11.7, and he has one DNF, which was in 2019, also with Chip Ganassi. So, I mean, like I said, strong resume here at Richmond, and hopefully he turns it around. It's the track to turn around at, considering the upcoming races with Martinsville and Talladega kind of approaching, which he's not too strong at it either. So, definitely the track to kind of turn things around and get the season on a better track.
All right, so wrapping things up for today, we'll just kind of take a look ahead to this weekend's schedule for Kyle Larson. Like I said before, on Friday night, Kyle will be with the XR Super Series at the Bristol Motor Speedway for the Carl Customs Bristol Dirt Nationals in the number 6 Rumley Super Late Model. This race is $50,000 to win. They had two races there last weekend. Hot laps will start at 3 p.m. on the XR Plus app. If you don't have the XR Plus app, make sure you go ahead and follow our Instagram page at Larsonland, as we'll, as always, be posting frequent updates of that event. I know it gets tough to buy every single different streaming service with Dirt Vision, Flow, XR Plus, and Mav TV. But I understand if you don't want to buy this one, if you still want to keep up with Kyle, just make sure you check out our social media and we will be posting updates there. So, moving on to Saturday at the Richmond Raceway for the NASCAR Cup Series, practice will start at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Fox Sports 1. Then qualifying will be at 11:15 a.m. Eastern Time on Fox Sports 1, and then finally the Toyota Owners 400 will be at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. The race distance for this weekend is 400 laps, which equals out to be 300 miles. Stage 1 is set to be 70 laps, Stage 2 will be 160 laps, and Stage 3 will be 170 laps. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in and listening to the show. As always, check out the links in our description for some awesome Kyle Larson Facebook groups, including the Kyle Larson Nation Fan Club. We'll be back again next Wednesday to recap this weekend's race at Richmond, as well as the Bristol Dirt Nationals, as well as any other news that may come about. If you're watching on YouTube, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please follow our podcast so you don't miss a thing. Have a great rest of the week, everyone, and enjoy the on track action this weekend. We will see you in the next episode.